What's happening? It's good to be back. We are back, folks. What's going on, John? How you feeling, brother?
Man, excited to be back, better than ever, refreshed, off of vacation. No,
You gotta love
back
it.
into the
Gotta
swing
love
of
it.
it, man.
I'm glad. I'm glad you got to get, have a nice little time off. Do some fun things and enjoy yourself. Relax. I know Jose
Yeah,
also was on vacay and enjoying himself, doing some fun things.
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's
Jose,
good.
if you had a good time, man, give us some sort of. There you go, there you go.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. I came back a little early because I did the Know the Ledge on Saturday, so it was nice to be
I
back. I felt
seen,
kind of
I
weird,
caught it,
man.
I
I
caught
felt
it,
kind of
I
weird.
caught it.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right. Come on now. Come on now.
I was listening, I was listening.
Nah, dope. Nah, it feels, it's weird. I never realized it. Like when you're so used to doing this stuff,
Yeah,
every week. When you take a week off, and we technically, it's three shows we got going on.
right.
It feels weird when you don't do it. You feel a little lost in the sauce. It's kind of wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You start to miss it. You start, oh man, wonder what everybody else is doing. You want to check back in with everybody, and yeah, I feel you. I definitely feel that.
yeah. I had
Shout
to
outs
find
to
myself.
Rob, man. Shout outs to Rob,
Oh,
Steph Dawn. Who else took part in it? I'm
Jay
missing
Boogie
somebody.
chopped it
Jay
up for a
Boogie
little
came
bit.
in early. Yep, yep. And then Soulfinger
Keyshawn jumped
also was
on.
on.
Soulfinger and
Keyshawn.
Keyshawn jumped on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Keyshawn, and then
Oh, Subliminal
Subliminal,
jumped in too.
Subliminal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
shout outs to all of y'all
Yeah,
for
facts.
jumping on with Raw Facts. I
Yeah,
enjoyed the
that was dope.
conversation. It was a good combo, man, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, that was cool, man. It was nice to be back and have some people to chop it up with. And the other thing that just real quick I had to stop myself from doing is, when you're not recording and doing your own stuff, I was like kind of starting to click on other people's shows, and I was like, you know what, this kind of defeats the purpose. So I decided I'm gonna take a chill pill this week, and I'll jump on and like give a quick shout out in the chat and do a like, and then I'm out. Yeah, I
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
take a
Well, because
break.
then you don't want the conversation to come into a lot of the stuff that you're sort of rehashing, because that's
Right,
what
and
ends up happening.
I don't want to wind up jumping on their shows either. Like I'm supposed to not be doing
You're
anything.
supposed to be
Take
on
a
a
break.
break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. But hey, man, it's good to be back. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I think, and shout out to Steph and the Nothing But Knicks crew. I think Steph is on
Absolutely.
right now as well.
Okay.
Also, guys, if you haven't done so already, please go check out Nothing But Knicks, and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But also, they are getting stuff together for this year's draft. They're going to
The
be doing a
draft.
draft party. I don't know
Atlantic
exactly
City.
where it's going to be. It's going
Atlantic
to be
City,
there,
somewhere.
but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which spot yet. They're still narrowing that stuff down. But definitely, like, if you guys are looking forward to going to the draft party, you should definitely sign up for that. It's pretty cool. I had a great time last year. I don't know if I'll be able to make it this year because it looks like I got to work, and I don't know if
Right.
John's going to be able to make it. Um,
Yeah, definitely
but
not.
yeah, so
Just the
yeah,
work and family. I had my
right.
vacation this past week, so
Right. Yeah. You
that's
had your
gonna
break.
be
Yeah.
a break until probably I don't know. I'm planning something for Christmas of this year, so let's see if that works out.
All
So
right. Dope.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
Fingers
man.
crossed.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, uh, I thought that, well, first off, right now Brooklyn Nets are playing the Boston Celtics. This could be an elimination game for them. It's a close game
Right.
right now. I think it's maybe somewhere in between 6 or 8. I think is what the score is looking like right now. Just giving people a heads up as to what's going on. Where are we at right now? We're in
I
the
think it's
fourth quarter. 8 minutes left. It's 95-88.
right.
So that's going on. And you got Philadelphia is playing Toronto right now. Toronto's up 54-41 in the second quarter. So that's the NBA playoff basketball as we speak.
as
And
we
then we've
speak.
got another game after this one with the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. And obviously, Luka
Right,
Doncic is back for Dallas. So,
right.
we'll see how that impacts that game. He played pretty good coming back from the last one. I'm
He
just
said,
surprised.
I like outside of this Boston series, everything's been pretty close, like evenly matched for the most part.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's interesting. So we'll see. I think
yeah.
what was it? Was it who's playing Golden State right now? It's the Nuggets, right?
The yeah, Denver
It's
Nuggets.
the Nuggets. Yeah, yeah. So they,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
New
expecting
Orleans is
them to
playing
sweep.
Phoenix, right? Yeah.
I was expecting the sweep from the Warriors, but it looks like the Nuggets came to play and they got one. So they have another game, game 5 for them. Let's see if Boston will be the first team to clear out their board first.
Yeah,
I'm
could
I'm,
be.
I'm
I tell you,
hoping
man.
so. I tell you
Yeah,
who I'm rooting for.
but yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, I know we'll do a little bit more. Well, should I say a lot more in depth talking about this stuff when we get to the NBA report later in the week.
For
But
sure.
this, this is what's going on right now, and these have been pretty interesting games, pretty fun to watch. So, uh,
Mhm.
but what I wanted to ask you about is I don't know if you got a chance to look at it. RJ Barrett was on the JJ Redick podcast, The Old Man in the Three.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
caught
you were
some
able to
of it.
see any of the clips.
I caught some of it. I didn't catch the whole thing. I was planning on doing that this week, but yeah, I got some takeaways. I know I listened to the clip of how he was addressing how Boston sort of plays their defense and how difficult it is to score against that team. So I did catch that part in reference to how they're playing against Kevin Durant in this series. So I caught that part. I didn't catch anything else though. So fill me in. Is there
Yeah.
anything I should be paying attention to?
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest takeaways that people have been referencing from the conversation, one was uh, the game where he hit that big shot. Uh,
Hmm.
he said he had no idea what the play was because he honestly thought his night was done because he thought the rotation was set for who they were going to run out. And so he was on the end of the bench. So he didn't even hear what Tibbs drew up. So when he
Oh
came
crap!
in, yeah, when he came in, he didn't even know what to do. He got the ball, and he said it was fortunate that they pressed up on him with the defense, and he was right in his face because he had to arc it and shoot high, and he thinks that's what helped the shot. And he didn't even see if the shot was going in. He just heard the crowd go crazy. He
Just
was
let it
like,
go.
hey. And he said, I started talking my stuff, man.
That's funny.
I thought
That
that
is
was crazy.
hilarious.
Um, yeah, so that was one of the big takeaways from the conversation. Another big takeaway was him talking about DeMar DeRozan and
Mm,
how he wants he by playing him and seeing how good DeMar DeRozan's footwork was, and that mid
right,
range shot is money. He said, "Yo, listen, let's work out this summer." So he asked him to work out with him because he wants to improve on that footwork. And that's one of the things you
right.
got to love about RJ, man. He's a
Yeah,
consummate
yeah, yeah.
professional, and he says that he wants to be. He want. It was interesting. He also said he wants to be the leader of the Knicks. So that's a
Yeah. He
good sign.
wants to be great. There's no question about it. I get those vibes from him. He wants to be great. I think from the moment he came into the league, he's always wanted to be a number one guy for a franchise like the Knicks, and he's in no better situation. He just, again, he has to put that work in and build on his skills. The good thing that he got going for him is that he's well liked within the league, and he's been surrounded with really, really good people. His dad being one of them, and then Steve Nash, of course, another person who's really well liked and is his godfather, is open to working with him in the past and will in the future. So he can only get better, man, and he'll hopefully get that opportunity to work with DeRozan. I know Jimmy Butler has also found interest in giving him kudos. Wonder if he's also interested in working with the young fella. But yeah, that's what you need, man. You need you need those veterans to come out and support you and support your growth as a player. Because that'll only help you moving forward. So let's see if that happens this summer. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I hope that that does happen because I want, like I said before, I want that for all our young players, especially the ones who we can see are probably going to get a shot. We know RJ's definitely going to be
Right.
playing, but like if
Right.
for Obi his minutes get expanded, I'd
Absolutely.
love to see him. I've said it. I'd love to see him work with Akeem or somebody like that to really
Hmm.
kind of work on different things, techniques he can use because I think
Yeah.
he's such a very fast player and he's got good movement. He just needs to
Hmm.
kind of, learn some different techniques, different moves, and he could be an interesting player.
He
So we'll
could
see.
be,
We'll
and he
see.
could potentially find his way to the three. Now that he's actually gotten figured out the rhythm to his shot, he can extend from the 3-point line, and if he becomes, like I said, consistent throughout a year, I could see him playing a lot more three versus the four, and maybe in combination with Randall at points of the game. Not to say that he's just going to be in the game with them completely, but I could see where there may be moments where you can utilize both if they decide to stick with Randall.
Right, right. And definitely if he improves on his defense. If he can
Yeah,
get a little better at staying in front of guys, he could
absolutely.
easily, start playing more three because I mean, as far as size wise, he
He's
fits
got
and
the
he has the
size,
good speed
right?
for it. And he's got good speed.
Right.
So
And athleticism. He can jump out the gym, which makes it harder. You know what I mean? But he just has to, like you said, work on his lateral movements, working on his second, his I forget what they call it, but it's almost like when someone shoots the ball, you contest it, but also you're finding a body in order to get up again if you have to fend for a rebound. You know what I mean? So
right,
he
right,
just has
right.
to
It's
have
it's
more,
it's
better
like
better
yeah,
court awareness is really what I'm getting at on the
yeah,
defensive side
no.
because sometimes he doesn't have it.
Right. I agree with you on that. Yeah, that would be really, really nice for them to be able to do stuff like that. One of the other things that I thought was pretty interesting with regards to RJ is that he talked about how well we know his relationship with Steve Nash, that being his godfather, but he talked about that he also was humbled by playing
Mm,
him because he was playing one on one against RJ when he was like RJ against Steve Nash when he was like 14 years old. And at some
yeah,
points he was tall, he was bigger than Nash. He was like, I could take this guy. And Nash was crafty. He was killing him. He said, even though I
yeah,
thought I could take him, he was still getting me because he's so crafty. And like that's a humbling experience, a learning experience for him, an NBA vet showing you different things and how to make up for a lack of something. You don't have that size, yet he's still taking it to you, and you can't do nothing about it. So,
yeah, and that's
good
actually really,
experience.
really, really, really good experience because not only are you sort of playing a one-on-one game with a legendary point guard, which Steve Nash is, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. If he's not already, I think he may be already. I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
But Steve Nash, is a legend in his own right, understands the game, could teach a lot of nuances to the game with Barrett, and his dad also played, so his dad is no stranger to it. So he's been around the league long enough to understand it. So I think all of that, given time and given his preparation, I think he's going to be solid for us next year. I expect him to be our number one option, seeing that we've seen the tide change this in the middle towards the back end of the season. So I expect him to come into next season being our number one option, and then figuring out what we're gonna do for number two and number three.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That makes sense. I think it's just really I think we're fortunate. Yeah, I know RJ's not perfect and he can be inefficient. He still is learning, but keep going back to that thing, man. The fact that he's improving every year, even though he has
Right.
certain things that he still needs to work on. This kid is 21 years old. It's such a weird
Super young.
feeling to see a player that is so young still and still growing. And we know like whatever. Okay, he's got some stuff he needs to work on, but he's 21. I mean, as a Knicks
Mhm.
fan, I don't know too many times in the past where we could say that we got a player that, oh man, he's got some issues, he can get better, but he's so young that there's so much time left as long as you
It's
cultivate
promising.
him and he grows. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. And that's been the frustration this year, is because we were hoping to see the same maturation for IQ for Obi Toppin, and we didn't quite get the opportunity to see it until very late in the season. And that's the unfortunate part, because now you're looking at next season saying, does IQ have what it takes to be the future point guard of this team? Does Obi have what it takes to be any sort of future within the Knicks? Is it power forward? Is it small forward? We don't know. So those are some of the unknowns because of I would say Tibbs' lack of understanding what we as Knicks fans would like to see, and I don't think he really cares. You know what I mean? Because for him, it's a different. He's looking at it differently. He's the coach, so he's going to look at a win now situation. But even when you were completely out of it, we didn't quite see it either. It had to take a few injuries, had to take place, a few, I don't know, let's say some faux pas by the PR and some of the players, not really doing their part in order to make sure that they stay in good light with the fan base. For instance, Randall making a foolery of himself, coming out the way he did, and then at that point, it became evident that they needed to shut him down, and that was the only reason why you seen Obi get the minutes he got. And then, of course, the injuries to Cam and a few others that opened the doors for, and the point guard situation opened the door for IQ to come in and play heavy minutes, especially during the stretch when he decided to move away from Burks, because that was Tom's doing. Tom was like he preferred Burks at that time over Quickly, and then at some point he made that transition, and by then it was too late. Right, we was already out of it. So
Right. Yeah, this is very true. Funny. I kind of talked about it a little bit on Saturday. I know other people have talked about it. Were you able to see, because Berman's everywhere. Berman's doing his little podcast tour, and I guess he had something hot, so he was like trying to throw that out there everywhere he could and every chance he got. Did you see where Berman said that Tibbs
a nigga
basically
time
alluded
show.
to the fact? Yeah, he said it on the Nick of Time show. He said it on, I think, with CT,
CP.
and I mean,
Oh, CT,
no,
right.
yeah, CT, and he said it on another show too. He was everywhere,
Streets
man.
of
Berman's
buzzing.
just
Right,
running
right,
around. Yeah,
right.
streets are buzzing.
He's trying to be
He
heard.
admit, right. He was mentioning how Tibbs alluded to, maybe not playing the kids as early as he should have. He might have. Yeah.
He alluded that to him, maybe.
Yeah, he
And you got
hasn't
to
said
take
it
that
to
with a grain
anybody
of salt,
else.
though. You got to say that with a grain
Yeah,
of salt
right.
because it's Berman. Berman likes to stir
Right.
the
That's
pot.
the thing.
You don't
Yeah,
know
he
what's
does
true, what
like to stir
isn't.
the pot.
You know what I mean?
But, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, because, it is what it is. Like, you second guess yourself sometimes. You think you know what's right, and because you don't want to put people in situations. I can understand maybe Tibbs thinking about, their confidence as well. Of course, maybe he wasn't helping them as much as we as fans might have thought he could have. But in the flip side, maybe he's like, I'm protecting them. I'm saving them from having more negative stuff being thrust upon them while they're young and learning. I don't know. I think that's an old school way of thinking, but I think maybe that's how he thinks too. But
it's also a good excuse, right? Like
it's a
it's
great
always a
excuse.
good, it's a great excuse at that point. So yeah, I just, I would, like I said, the fans aren't wrong by feeling the way that they feel about not being able to see these kids perform against top-notch competition when it counted. So it is what it is. At this point, we have to move on. A new season's in front of us. We have to figure out what we're going to do draft-wise coming to next season, understanding that we have the guys that we're going to have. Let's try to figure that out early, so we ain't going into the season with a lot of these questions. I think that's the biggest thing for me as a fan, is like, I don't want to go into next season with the question of, are we sticking with Randall, are we not? You know what I mean? It's always up in the air. There's always trade rumors. Like, let's do away with that. If you're going to stick with Randall, just say that, and let that be that. You know what I mean? And I think that's where they're going with it, because I think that's the last things we heard from Leon Rose. We heard the same from
Mm-hmm.
Tibbs. So I don't think we're moving away from Randall unless they say otherwise. I'm expecting Randall to be here for the foreseeable future.
I
So
am too, dude. I'm with you on that. I feel the same way. I don't think he's going anywhere. So
yeah,
look, I don't really care, to be honest with you. I think they should move on from him, but if they're gonna rock with him and he's still gonna be on the team, something's got to change. Don't give me the same thing I've been seeing. Just make it right. Do what you got to do to get Randall on the same page as the rest of the organization. And if that's how you feel you got to do it, you got to keep him. Then do something to help his mindset. Do something to help his psyche. You know what I mean? Like, do something, because this can't go on, and we got to get better. We can't get worse, because this year was a complete and utter failure. And
well,
the other thing is,
I'll say this. Part of that failure is us as Knicks fans. I think we overhyped the situation. I think we took what happened in the bubble, you know what I mean, and all ran with the 50 burger. I think the majority did. There were some outliers that didn't, and props to you guys that figured us not to be that. But I think we sort of overvalued our team play the year before, and so we didn't
right,
go into the season realizing that we was just not as good as the rest of the teams that may have gone through a lot of COVID protocols and other situations that they were in. So it wasn't like an easy year for them. For instance, I think there were teams that like lost main players for quite a bit of time and during that bubble stretch, which cost them games. So I just don't, I want to go into next season with high hopes, but I'm definitely going to look into making sure that we don't start talking 50 burgers or anything like that. I'm going to limit those expectations a bit more in hopes that we make a run at the playoffs. But we definitely got to see that improvement on the court, and not just, word of mouth, people just talking to talk.
I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm definitely next year. My expectations are going to be reserved. I'm not jumping out the window
At all.
Yeah,
You right about
let
that.
me undervalue the team and let them exceed my expectations, because I'm
Facts.
not dealing with it. Yeah, but
You're
I
right
think
about
they
that.
will.
Right.
I think they will. Speaking of that, so um, on Saturday, on the Know the Ledge show, we talked about some of the different point guard options that have been out,
Mm-hmm.
out there for Knicks fans and the Knicks franchise to kind of consider. We talked about Donovan Mitchell. We talked about Jalen Brunson,
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, Tyus
Right.
Jones. Um, the other thing is, there's other free agents that might be in the mix for the Knicks. I don't know how realistic it is. The Knicks would have to free up some money somehow to make it
Mm.
happen. But there's guys like Zach LaVine, who is
Yeah.
not the point guard you're looking for, but he is a scoring option that might prove pretty reliable. Because I think Zach LaVine is actually kind of struggled a little bit this year with the fact that DeRozan has been doing so well and kind of gets a lot of touches. But he
Right.
still averaged 24 points on the season, which is, you say somebody struggled, yet he still averaged 24 points.
Right.
So, I mean,
Strange
that's something
enough.
that we might look into.
Strange enough, we might. You're right. We might look into it, but strange enough, I do like him with that team in Chicago. I think he's a perfect fit for that team. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him moving anywhere. Of course, he's a free agent, so he's gonna, go where the money's at. And if there's a team willing to give him more years, I'm sure he'll go that route. Um, but yeah, I mean, I look at Levine as a guy who can score, but is not like a Tibbs sort of player, because he doesn't put it.
Mm.
The effort isn't there on the defensive side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not the
And
greatest defender.
that's the one that kind of it weirds me out because yeah, it's great that you can have a score like that, but you're not really gonna get much else. You're not gonna get much else, and at the shooting guard position, I might rather go to the side of oh, let's give an update on that Boston series. Oh, look at that! There's a sweep happening. 113 to what? Where we at? Well, how many seconds left? Durant missed the three, the chase down, and the pass, open pass from Smart to I don't know who that player is. I don't know if you're seeing it. Are you seeing it?
Oh,
This is
no,
crazy.
I don't have the channel. I'm actually watching the Toronto Philadelphia game. What's happening here?
Okay, let me see what's happening here. I don't know if they
Uh,
called the foul.
okay, 113, 109 with 7 seconds left.
7 seconds left. Yeah, it's over. They better hit these free throws if they get fouled, or did they get fouled? Did they call a foul? I'm not sure. I guess they're reviewing it. I forget. My train of thought was R.J. Barrett for me would be the quintessential shooting guard future for the Knicks, and I personally would like to see R.J. continue to play the two, and us envisioning the three going to Cam if we're planning to keep Cam, or potentially Obi if he's able to turn into a three. Because at this point it looks like they're keeping Randall. So, and it looks like Mitch wants to come back. So if Mitch wants to come back and they pay him a surmountable fee to come back and not shortchange the kid, it would be great. It would be great because you keep a core, and that's a nice core to keep. Again, you just have to adjust what your options look like offensively. I would love to see pick and roll action with Randall coming from Cam and RJ as a starting rotation, and moving Fournier to a bench role, more of a six-man role coming off the bench, potentially to play off the bench with Rose and Burks. I like that dynamic more, even Grimes coming off the bench, than I do with what they have now, the way they have it set up now.
Right. I mean, I don't mind that at all. That sounds pretty good. That might work. Salute to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Salute to Angel Torres, Geraldine McIver, Andrew K. Big task at hand. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Andrew was giving us some score updates as well. He said sweep in the chat. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah,
It's
bring
real.
out the brooms. Listen, man, that's what. Listen,
Hey,
the Nets have a lot of rebuilding to do at this point. Because can they keep the two together? Can they keep these two players together? I don't think so. Not for the long haul. I don't see this team. This team just got to break apart, and they have to regroup because I don't see it happening for them.
Yeah,
The
you
East has
might be
gotten so
right,
much
bro.
better. They've gotten so much better, and you need talent to win in this league. And they got two of the most talented players in the league, and they got a bunch of they got a couple of older vets. They aren't playing Drummond for whatever reason, which is so extremely silly. You know what I mean? I don't understand what they're doing. Even LaMarcus played very rarely this series. I'm not sure what they're doing there. But
yeah,
it's not gonna work.
I agree. I think that the one thing is already you see that they need more, right? This team doesn't have enough, right? Then you look at they pick up Ben Simmons, and he hasn't played for them. And some of these NBA vets have been killing him these past couple of days because they're like, dude, you telling me that you were able to practice and you were supposed to play, you felt a little twinge, little discomfort, and you wouldn't even give it a go? Like your season is on the line.
This goes back
I don't
to
know.
the whole Iverson conversation, right? And them going crazy on Iverson for saying practice. Like, what's you worried about practice? I'm in every game, putting it out there, putting my life on the line as a 6-footer. You know what I mean? Getting beat up every game, playing my heart out, and you're worried about practice? Yeah. Yeah. Nick, man,
Yeah,
it's
man.
official. The
Listen, I
Celtics have
mean,
won
look,
in 4 straight games. It's done. It's over. Kudos to Boston, man.
there's been a lot of conversation about Kevin Durant and 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 how good of a
Situation.
player he really is. I mean, he's not. I mean, obviously we know he's a great player, but just
Mm-hmm.
is he the championship player? Like, because when you look at it,
He needs
he
pieces.
hasn't won a championship except with Golden State, which
He needs
they won a
pieces.
championship without him.
Without him, yeah, he needs pieces. He needs.
Yeah.
He needs to. He can be a number one option on a very good team. Absolutely, because
Hmm.
he's shown that he can do that. But he needs pieces around him, and what he doesn't need is a bunch of stars who are going to hog the spotlight, hog the attention. He needs guys who are going to be like not Steph Curry, but I would say like even like his brother. Like Steph is a consummate pro, so Steph didn't mind taking a back seat, even though it was still his team. Didn't matter if Durant was there.
Right.
He had enough carte blanche to say, "This is my team. I make the decisions on
Right.
who's running this team. Like the franchise revolves around me as a player, right?
Hmm.
That's pretty much how Curry handled it. Um, but even the key role players, Draymond Green had a strong voice in that bench. Klay Thompson had a strong voice in that bench, and those
Hmm.
and they made sure that the call was heard before anyone else was. Um, so
Hmm.
that's why Kevin decided to move on, because he knew that he was always going to have that stigma around him. He has to win outside of Golden State in order to be proven or chosen as one of the best to ever do it. You know what I mean? He may be one of the
He
best
does.
ever,
It's
ever scorers for sure, scoring for sure,
right.
but that's about it.
It's the Kobe thing.
Right,
Kobe won with Shaq, but Kobe needed
right.
to show that I could win one without Shaq.
Al Shaq,
So
right.
yeah, yeah, I
But you
see that.
have to
Yeah,
put the right
definitely.
pieces. So, in my eyes, if you're smart, you try to find a way to move Kyrie to get more
Mm,
assets back. You know what I mean? If I'm
mm.
Brooklyn, try to move Kyrie so then it becomes Durant's team. You know what I mean? And then you build around Durant, handing them key pieces. You know what I mean? I think the Drummond move was a smart move. The Curry move, bringing those guys in, I thought that was smart. You lose Harden, but you gain a lot with those guys. They just
Right.
underutilized them because they didn't get them the ball. The ball was pretty much in Kyrie's hand for most of the game, or Durant's hand, and it was ISO all the way through. They didn't like they barely called any plays, so it was weird. It's
It's
easy to
crazy because
defend
you
a team
think
like that.
like, what would, how would Durant look like on a team like Dallas? Well, what they have? Of course, you can't have that because most likely you got to trade players to. But if you could
Right.
just throw him on a team, like throwing him on Dallas or throwing him on Denver
You know what? I would throw him on OKC
and bring him back to where it all started.
because look at their core, their young core. The players that they got now are super competitive, athletic. You know what I mean? All they need is a Durant, a number one guy, and then you move, you know, Gilchrist to that number two slot. You get what I'm saying? He isn't going to take a lot
Mm-hmm.
of attention away, but like he needs a team like that. In my
Right.
opinion, to be like
Hmm.
to take him over the top. Even if you were to add him to Portland and you have a Damian Lillard, I think that would work. Um, because Lillard doesn't seem like the type to cause a lot of influx within, you know, within the locker room, and I think that's sort of what you get with Kyrie because Kyrie likes a lot of the attention. So
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I can see that. Um, then you think about it's funny because I I'm so happy that the Knicks didn't wind up with either of these two guys. But that's just me personally. I know, of course, if they were on the Knicks would be a better
Yeah,
team. Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
absolutely,
But I'm
absolutely.
just I'm happy. Just keep
Listen,
them away from us over here. And the fact
I
that they
would have
got
loved
swept.
to have
Oh,
them.
come on, baby.
Right. No, it's just it makes it makes for a better story because now they have to figure it out in Brooklyn because again, you're never going to get the fan base. You know what I mean? You're never going to get the fan base. You get a really weak fan base when it comes to Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like it's those folks aren't ride or die. They weren't with you when you had a bunch of no-name players. The majority of those fans came once they got a name player, once they got a Durant, once they got a Kyrie. So basically, they're bandwagon fans, and that's pretty much what you could say about them. Either that or they're white collar fans because they're getting free tickets. You know what I mean? They're getting company tickets to go see. So those are fair weather fans, and I'm not. That's not going to do anything for them. Moving forward. So they're never going to have New York.
Right.
New York's going to live by, we're going to pretty much breed orange and blue. We run New York regardless of whether we're hot or we're making playoffs or not. We just got to keep building on our side. And if we get a number one, option, like let's say if we get a Donovan Mitchell to come play with us and we don't give up too much, um, then we got to ride with it. Then we got to build around that core of Donovan and Barrett. But I would hate to move someone like Barrett and include him in the trade for Donovan. I want Barrett to be a part of our future and not a trade chip. That's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm with you. Uh, another free agent target possibility. Once again, Knicks got to move a lot of stuff around in order to have the money to even figure this out. And I don't
Mhm.
even know how they would do it. It would have to be probably some form of moving a player or two somewhere, and then also doing a sign and trade to get this guy over here, uh, which is someone we talked about early in the season, but the talks have died down. That's Bradley Beal,
Right.
because that's still another option. It's still out there. I think we've got kind of caught up in Nick fandom with the whole
Hmm.
talks about the fact that we need a point guard and everything that's going on. But if that guy doesn't present himself, if Jalen Brunson has priced himself out of Nick consideration, for example, because they're talking now about his ceiling being 25 mil and his floor being
Mate,
20.
that's too much. Yeah, that's too
That's yeah,
much.
that's a lot, bro. That's a
It's too
lot.
much for a
So I
player
mean,
to
if
come
that's the
in
case, what are
without.
they gonna do?
Yeah, that's sort of too high for a player who hasn't done enough in the league. Like you may like that's sort of the same theory with Randall, right? And Randall ain't even get that much, right? Like what did Randall get? And I'm not willing to
Randall's,
pose that.
I think he's at 20. Well, I think it was like 19, and then now he's going into like 21 million
Right.
per year, 21, 22.
Hmm. Right. And so like going above those numbers, I'm not willing to partake with a guy who may
I
not
see where
even be
he's
a
at.
number one option. You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Brunson, you're hoping that he can continue this streak that he's on, and this sort of play. But he also hasn't done it consistent enough in the league. Um, so I don't necessarily know if he could be a number one option. I think you're paying 25 for a number one option type player. You know what I mean? Um, but Bradley Beal, I mean, as talented as he is as a scorer, again, sort of for me falls within that Levine's sort of he falls into that category of players who can score the bucket but aren't high volume when it comes to the defensive side, aren't really engaged defensively. So I'm
Right.
sort of staying away from those guys because I really want to see the maturation of Barrett. I really
Right,
do. I
right.
think we've seen
Well,
enough.
actually, so for a little clarity, currently this year, Randall's making 19.8. Next year is the first year of the extension that he signed. So he'll be making 23.7. He'll be making 25 the year after that, 27 the year after that, and then 29 in the fourth year.
Right. And that was a serviceable contract, right?
Right.
For a guy we got, on a reasonable deal who played outstanding the year prior. I'm not willing to take that same sacrifice with a player like Jalen Brunson, even though we need a point guard. I think we could find. We may already have a point guard on this team. Let's not forget, we still haven't seen enough of McBride. We still haven't seen if Grimes could turn into a point guard, because Grimes has the size, has played the point guard position in the past when he was a high school player. But who's to say he can't, mature into one? I mean, if people are talking about Donovan Mitchell being a point guard, why wouldn't you then talk about Grimes being a point guard, right? Like they're 6'3", like they're, you get what I'm saying? Like same stature.
Right.
Donovan may be a little
Well,
bit more explosive this year. I mean, because he's got more years in the NBA, but that isn't to say that Grimes couldn't work his ass off this summer and figure it
true,
out. But
true.
again, I think it's IQ's to lose, to be honest. This is
Yeah, I
IQ's
think
spot
so
to
as
lose.
well. So my question to you is, being that I know you don't want to pay him that type of money, now would you consider something where they get a little crafty with the contract and say they brought him in and they got him to agree to like the first year being like 19 and maybe the second
Who,
year being like 21 and a half or something like that?
which player
Third
are we
year,
talking about?
because remember you
Jalen?
get the new Brunson, I'm saying, because remember
For
you get the
Brunson.
new TV contract that's going to inflate the salaries in 23.
Yeah, but by then I'm as a Knicks fan, right? As a person who understands what the market looks like in 23, that's the year Bronny comes out, isn't it? I
It
think
is.
it
I
is.
think so. I think so.
So why wouldn't you be a why wouldn't you as a franchise want to put yourself in a space where you have an opportunity to get not to get into a lottery, but open the doors for that potential to be there for you as a franchise. You know what I mean? Like you always want to have that just in case situation. And if you tie in all your money, you ain't gonna be in the running at all. So you really can't tie up the money. So I would say play it conservative for the next few years. Build on what you already have. And then 23 comes, have the flexibility in your cap to make a run at Bronny if you can, because the kid's only going to get better. Some people, are going to hate on him because of, he's the son of LeBron James and they don't feel like he's got it there altogether. Guarantee you, he has the pedigree and he's going to have everything to his advantage when he comes into the league to get better. He's
I
only
agree
going
with
to
that.
get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even if he's under his father's wing, he's under Dwayne Wade's wing, it doesn't matter. He could be under a bunch of people. He's going to get the right tools, the right people around him in order for him to develop his game to where it needs to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we'll
So
see. That's definitely a possibility, man. There's definitely an option there.
we need to keep our
I
options
think,
open is what I'm saying.
yeah, they
You know
definitely
what I mean?
should definitely keep their options open because it's so much influx. But we'll see, because I think this year is going to be the proving year for where we really understand where this team is going. Are they going to be patient going forward,
Mm-hmm.
or is this the year that decides that we start to go for it? Because there's
Nah.
fans that want to be patient, and there's fans that want a winning product now, and maybe that's how the front office thinks too. Who knows?
We just got to be consistently making the playoffs if possible. I think that's the number one. That should be our main focus. Making ourselves a contender every year. For the next 2 years, we should be in contention to make the playoffs. And whatever happens, happens, right? But let's not also forget Shaquille O'Neal's son is a problem also. And I think he's a
Oh,
year older than Bronny, right? Something
yeah,
like that.
I
Or
know he's
maybe
older. I don't
two.
know what his age is, but yeah, he's
He may
definitely a
be
little
1 or
older.
2 years older. And he's a problem too. So let's not forget that. There's some young kids who come in with that NBA pedigree that you can't just, you can't just like overlook that. These kids have been around the league for a reason. And they're gonna make a name for themselves. And they're gonna come in with all this hype, and it's gonna be something to pay attention about to. Let's
Yeah,
see if one
yeah.
of these players are gonna be the truth. You just don't know. But I know this with those two players. When you talk about Shaq's son, you talk about LeBron's son, they're gonna have the ability to grow within the league. They're gonna have
Right.
every opportunity given to them because of their dads and what their dads put in to this league. So you got to look at those two players as the faces of the future. And I
Right.
would too if you look at the history. Look at Curry. You know, there's plenty of other players that you've seen the same, especially top notch players, right? You don't really see that much. Like people could speak to like Jordan and his son, but his son wasn't highly recruited out of UCF. You know what I mean? And so he didn't sort of have that wave that people have
Hmm.
with social media now. And now LeBron and Shaq's son, they have it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I could see a future if the Knicks pay attention, where you can bring some budding stars to the league. You get the hype, you get everything, the notoriety that comes along with it. And I think those kids are big enough for it. So a town like New York, no better place to be.
I mean, you're not lying about that. I mean, that is the draw. Hopefully, it carries some weight. It's
Mm-hmm.
tough, man. It's been a rough go for a little
Mm-hmm.
bit.
No,
People
it is.
people kind of a little bit of the luster has come off the garden, but you know, in the
Yeah,
right
it's mostly
situation,
people
the
call
right
it the
circumstance,
fanfare. Yeah, they call it that
right?
fanfare. It's too tough, but I don't buy into that. I still feel like if a player really wants to make a name for themselves, you know what I mean, they can. They just have to be willing to partake with all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Just the
Right.
fanfare is just that much more in places like New York. So I don't know, man. I could see a player like Bronny being willing to take on the challenge. You know what I mean? Uh,
Hmm.
Even Jackson being willing to take on a challenge. Those are big names. I could see them LA as well. But
So let me ask you this: being that you think they should be patient and remain patient, not do too much, not try to make a big splash or anything, to keep your options open for 23 in that draft class and different things that are happening. How do you feel about them? You know, because we still don't know what quickly can be if next year,
mm-hmm.
going into next year, maybe they give him the keys. Or, we don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them going after somebody in a backup role who is like a Ricky Rubio? Or if they go after someone younger in a backup role that they can kind of grow with them, like a Tyus Jones. How do you? Those guys are both going to be cheaper
Yeah.
options, and to me, Rubio's the craftier, smarter type player, but Tyus Jones could be really special in a situation where he gets used more because the guy's got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
skill. What do you think
Yeah.
about them pursuing it that way?
I think Tyus Jones has a potential of becoming a number one point guard in the league, right? Taking his skill set, right? He can probably win over a position over IQ, especially right now the way it looks, skill set wise. I just if you're gonna go that route, then you have to move away from Derrick Rose at some point, because you got to make room, and that's really what it comes down to. If you bring a Tyrus Jones into the league, then that's a three-way competition that could potentially happen because McBride's just going to get better, and he's going to want to play for a spot, um, and you can't overlook him because if you look at what Jose Alvarado's doing with the Pelicans, you get what I'm saying? Look at McBride. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at that sort of player who got that grit, who's willing to
Mm-hmm.
put it out there and play hard. There's a space for a kid like that in the league. Look at Marcus Smart. I mean, I'm not saying McBride is that. McBride is only like, he may be 6'2", 6'3", maybe. I don't think he is.
He's 6'3" with a 7-foot wingspan.
Are they
Crazy.
are they calling him 6'3"? Because he doesn't seem
Yeah,
it. But if he's
yeah,
6'3",
that's
then
what they're
look, that's
saying.
great. That's good size. You know what I mean? So if he has that size and legit, then that's great. Because we know he has good wingspan. So, like, you got a player like that who's going to give you some grit. Look, Quickly is 6'4". He's not a small point guard. And he's fast, and he's just going to get better. So I think we got good options. We just don't have an elite point guard right now. And I think it's hard as Knicks fans to see growth happen in a slow pace, or being able to look at Quickly and seeing that he could mature into that because he takes poor shots. His shot selections are extremely poor. But if he could work on those things in the offseason, we could probably see something different coming up to the next season. If Tibbs is willing to give up, have an open competition for that spot. But again, you got to move away from a guy like Rose at that point. What do you do then?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ask him to be a part of your coaching staff? I still personally think that if he's healthy and you can keep him healthy throughout the season, he's a valuable player to have as a backup, and keep playing him in that role, because now you're just really focusing your energy on getting your starting point guard situation solidified.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a guy, the guy can still do it when healthy. You know what I mean? And in the fourth quarter, you need a player who's going to have the confidence and wherewithal to make the right decisions in the fourth, and not be afraid of the moment. And Rose, as we know, isn't afraid of the moment. You know what I mean? So that's my takeaway. Is like, if you're going to go for that secondary player as a point guard, figure out a way to move away from Rose. If not, stick with Rose, and allow Quickly, or maybe draft somebody. You draft a point guard and make that the open competition for the starting position.
That's
That's a way to go too.
that is definitely. I don't know how many good options there are that, depending on where the
There are
Knicks
some.
pick. If they somehow get a high
Right.
pick, it could be interesting. To get
Right.
too low of a pick, I don't know.
I
They're
say
talking
if
about
they get
Ty Washington,
one through eight, maybe top
something
five
nice
for
could
sure.
come from that.
Top five for sure. Top five,
Yeah,
you have your
definitely.
options. Top eight, it
Yeah,
starts
so
to get slim.
it's
Top 15,
interesting.
I
It's
don't think so.
interesting.
Yeah.
I see, first off, once again, another shout out to the chat. Subliminal, I see you. Thank you. Appreciate you. As John mentioned earlier, thank you for joining the
Appreciate
show
y'all for
on
coming on.
Saturday. Knicks for life. What up, Chuck? I see you. Angel, I got Angel before. Robert Bruce, what's going on? Be Civilized in the building. What's good? Allah Wise is in the building. I also see Jay Boogie. What's going on, Jay Boog? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, like these are all the type of things that we need to look at. Like, what type of free agent direction should they go? Should they target one of these point guards that they might be able to get in a trade? What are they going to do with Mitchell Robinson? How can they, if they're going to lose him, how can they use Mitch to go acquire another piece of talent, whether it be a point guard or maybe just the best available talent they can get? And I honestly, the Knicks really do need that type of point guard, but I think this team just needs smart talent, smart, good talent. The more talent you can bring in, the better. And then you eventually you'll put yourself in a situation where then maybe, hey, you still need that point guard, but it might be easier because now you don't got to worry about this position. You don't got to worry about that position. You just got to go get that point guard. I think that puts them, and plus you get more good talent. You got more trade assets. You got more things that you can use to acquire that talent. Like, I think they just got to be smart about getting the best possible talent. And I hope that somehow in the draft they get a high pick. But if they don't get a high pick, I hope they get a high enough pick that they can go out there and get somebody like a Ben Mathurin. I like that kid, man. I watched enough of
He's a
him.
good player. Right.
It would be nice to see somebody like that in the Knicks uniform. So we'll see, bro. I don't know, man.
You know what else they have to do front office wise is also, and I think we talked about this probably a few weeks ago when we were still in the season, is not to make, we have to make sure that Tibbs don't have that many options. We can't keep allowing him to have the options not to play the young players that we have. Right. So you, at some point, you have to make a decision and move away from players that are going to take, minutes away from these kids. Especially if you feel like there's a future with them. If you feel there's a future with Cam, if you feel there's a future with Obi on this team, then you have to move away from players like Fournier and Burks, because Tibbs is going to play his guys. That's just what it is. He's going to play guys he's comfortable with playing because he knows that they understand his scheme. And it doesn't matter whether they play it well or not. He as long as they understand where they need to be in the scheme of the offense and the scheme of the defense, then he's cool with letting them play it out. But front office got to make those decisions. We talked about this a few weeks ago.
You've been saying it all year. They need to limit Tibbs's options. Force him to play the players that they want to be out there on the court by limiting how many guys he's got out there to go to.
Yeah.
You're right, bro.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And you can't let the front office escape from that, right? Like, that's their job. If they know that they hired this coach that has these tendencies, then you have to work with the tendencies that he's approaches the game with. And that way you could see whether we're going to stick with these young kids or not. Then whether or not they're going to be a value to another team versus our team. At some point there has to come a point where you make those decisions, because every year we're going to get new players. That's guaranteed. We're going to get one or two.
I agree with you. Definitely. And it makes sense. Listen, if you got a guy who wants to play an 8 to 9 man rotation, then give me the best 8 to 9 men you can put out there, right? Let's go with that.
And if he wants height and length, get him height and length. Because he said it, right? The year he was like, I want some stretch, 2s and 3s, and I want length, and give him that. Give him the players that he wants, and then allow them to play. That's it. Don't keep shorting it out and saying, the best available is this guy who's, 5'9", and you know what I mean? It's like, that's not the player that Tibbs wants. He's not going to play.
Right.
You're never going to see he's never going to see the court.
And
no matter how talented
Subliminal once again, as he said, as long as it's young vets, competition makes you better. I agree with that. Yeah, the competition is definitely going to make you better. It's going to weed out who's ready to play and who needs more time, a little more seasoning out there, and maybe someone who maybe you don't need to continue to keep on the team. Sometimes you gotta, you gotta move away from some guys too. Salute to Krillian's Underlow, Kaiser Sorze. I see you guys. Thank you guys for joining. The other thing is, I hate pointing to the past, but we've done it throughout the year. I mean, it is what it is, but not for nothing. As much as he can be inconsistent throughout the regular season, Reggie Bullock is playing his role for Dallas right now. He's doing Reggie Bullock things. So
he's playing good defense. I mean, that's what you asked.
Man, they're playing some good defense.
Yeah. Which is interesting because the regular season they were so inconsistent too on the defensive side of the ball, and again, that I don't know. I think a part of it is the way the competition is playing too. I you don't see that much. I personally don't see that much of a change from the way that the Mavs are playing, because I've seen the way they played against the Knicks. And there's not much of a difference. I just think that competition isn't playing up to par right now.
Well,
so that's why Utah to me is
this.
They're faltering.
I don't know, John. Respectfully, I might have to disagree a little bit
You think
because
so?
one thing I
I
have
don't know. I don't see
noticed
it.
is not just the Mavs. It's all the NBA teams. For whatever reason, all year we were complaining about especially as Knicks fans, we were complaining about the refs. These
Mm-hmm.
refs are letting these guys get physical because it's the playoffs, I guess. But they're
Mm-hmm.
able to play some tough defense because the way Dallas has been playing, and definitely the way Miami. I know Miami's a great defensive team, but the way they're letting
Mm-hmm.
Miami get all over Atlanta, like Trae Young scored 8 points 2 games ago and 9 points last
Right.
night. Like they are
Mm-hmm.
playing some tough defense. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Right. No, I'm specifically talking about the Mavs game, right? And this is why I'm talking about the Mavs game because and I just want to be sure that so when you think of the Jazz, right? And you think about who's playing heavy minutes for the Mavericks, right? Doncic is their weakest defender. Am I right or am I wrong?
Right. No, he's definitely he doesn't do much on defense
So
at all.
why aren't you as a team attacking that guy? As a team, you should be pick and rolling and putting your best offensive player against Doncic. You can't allow a team to hide a guy like that, is what I'm saying. And Utah right now is playing into their hands. They're not attacking Doncic. The Knicks win.
Though, they've only had one game to be able to attack him because the other 3 games they didn't have Doncic. But you're right; they definitely should be doing it now.
But then you pick their worst because there's a lot of holes there. There's a lot of holes there that you can attack because you can't tell me everyone around the Mavericks are great defensive players outside of Bullock,
right?
And a couple of other players. Like you can find.
Here's the reason why I say no. And you're right, but I think what benefits the Mavs. It's who is the good defenders on the Mavs. The Dinwiddie's a good defender. Bullock is a really good defender. And these are all guys who guard the guard position. Who are your best scorers on the team?
I got you.
Right. Jalen Brunson is a good defender too. But who's your best scoring options on the Jazz? Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, the guard guys. And then maybe you can get something from Bogdanovich. But that's it. Like you ain't getting nothing from Rudy Gobert and all these other ancillary players. So I think that's what's really causing them the problem. It's just who's the better defender, out there. They just happen to be guard guys.
Yeah, I guess. I just don't know, man. Like the way I look at it is like they're playing right into their hands,
But I
have the
height. You're right, though.
They have the height. Right. They don't utilize it. I mean, when you look at the team, I just don't know. I don't see how they. It's almost like they fall in love with the jump shot a lot, and they could be tacking a lot more, getting to the basket, drawing the foul, if they can. I just don't. I don't know. I think they're just like they're working harder than they need to. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not on the court. I'm only watching from time, and I'm not watching it that closely. I'm watching it close enough, but I'm not like I haven't been like watching it minute by minute. But I just don't know, man. I mean, look at the way their offensive run.
Oh man, I don't agree with that, Toch. Toch, and salute to you. Thank you for joining me. I don't know about that comment. Bullock wasn't a good defender on our team. Well, nah, man, I can't agree with that one. Bullock was
he was the best defender on our team.
He was not only was he a good defender, he was a quarterback. He was telling other guys what to do. We don't got that on this team. We are searching for somebody to put people in the right position. He was. I mean, there's the famous play that everybody points to in last year's season when they were trying to play good defense and guys were out of position. He grabbed Julius and threw Julius to a certain spot and some other stuff like that. He was that type of guy. I think he was great for us. As far as defense.
Out of everyone last year, he was the best defender that we had. He just wasn't the best, open shot shooter. You know what I mean? And so
I mean, he would hit a 3 and that's all you're getting from him. Like
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
not getting much
if you're lucky, he'll get 2 or
mid-range.
3. But
Yeah, no mid-range, no layups. Like you'll be lucky
yeah,
if you get too
definitely no
much of that.
layups.
No layups.
Yeah, but like it's the offense that I think the Utah is running. They're playing right into their hands, and again, they're doing some schemes. The Mavericks are playing a little bit of scheme defensively. They're swinging guys over to double and stuff like that. But I don't know. It just seemed like they're not
Yeah.
really doing what they need to do. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah, definitely.
Kid's smart. Kid has he has also a good bench coaching. He has some good bench coaches with him. They're very high defense. They're defensive minded. So I guess, maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, but I don't know.
Wait, who's that?
Kid and his team, like Kid and his bench, like
well,
the coaches
I
he
will
has.
tell you that I was going to tell you, I think Kid is starting to become a better coach. I think he is. He's learning more. I think he's much better now than he was with the Nets. I think the Nets,
Right.
he was still getting his feet wet. I think now he's learned a lot from that
Right.
experience and watching other coaches do things. I think he's much better now. I will say that. He looks better. And the way he does things, the way he calls out stuff, it looks like he understands even more about how to coach. Not the game, because he was great at knowing the game. As a coach, I think he's getting better.
Yeah. I mean, you could be right, man. I'm not following it as closely as you probably are, but it just seems like, I don't know. It'll be disappointing to see the Jazz get bumped. That's for sure.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, dude, because as much as I thought the Jazz were a really good team over the past few years, this year in particular, I've noticed a lot more issues with what they got going on out there. It's not as consistent. They've lost some bad games too. I'm not saying like the Knicks have lost to Orlando, but they've lost some games that I think they should have won. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was kind of surprised. So they have some issues. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, man, I was thinking that, we could chop it up a little bit and talk about what's going on with the Knicks and kind of certain things they should look at. Obviously, it'll get a little bit more easier for us to talk as we get into the off season and things present themselves. But for what's going on right now, these are some options that I thought we should talk about. And obviously, with the NBA going on with the playoffs, there's definitely more to talk about with that. And guys, if you want to hear more about what's going on around the NBA, definitely tune in later in the week, this Thursday, to the NBA Report on the Nothing But Knicks channel. We'll get into a lot more about what's happening in this NBA playoffs. So it should be a pretty fun talk, man. I know this is a little weird, so we're not doing we don't have any weekly matchup stuff to go over, any predictions. But Jose, if you're available, if you'd like to come in and just say a few words, because I think the fans are used to you now, man. So if you could just, jump in and let's bother you for a little bit.
That's all.
Is that your words? Oh, there he goes. There he goes.
What's going on, Jose? Welcome back.
Fellas? Yeah, so you guys ready to make the predictions for this week?
Yeah, I'm predicting what Mr. T said.
Future wins.
Pain, because it's pain not watching the Knicks in the playoffs.
You right about that?
How y'all doing? Y'all miss me?
Yeah, of course we did, brother. Hope you had a great vacation as well.
Thank you. I did. Got to relax, got to spend time with my wife. We got to go away for a couple of days. We came back yesterday, actually, back into Brooklyn.
Nice.
And now, had to start work today, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Very nice. Very nice.
Right back in there.
Sick, so
on the grind. Uh-oh. Start to pay sick time? Still Knicks fans? We pay sick time?
Watch out, yo. I don't know. I didn't look at the benefit package, and I hope you didn't look at it either. Oh, man.
But
Yeah,
listen,
man. Well, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you had a good time, brother. It's always nice to hear from you. Now, being that you're back, you were on vacation from your own channel too. Is that you gonna get that revved up again this week?
um, unfortunately, no. You know, I
Oh,
got some things coming up personally, and also entering a busy season at work currently. So I'm
Mm.
just gonna be focused on my actual job and then my personal stuff and all that stuff. So no way Jose 1022 will be on a little short break. I promise it will be back. Um, but at the moment it will be on a break.
Yeah, I hear that.
all right.
I take care of that
Well,
first.
that makes sense, brother. Yeah, don't forget your day job.
Right.
Yeah, man. Well, that's good. That's good. Always good to hear from you, Jose. You got any final words you want to say before we close out of here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take John's line, but I do want to tell everyone thank you so much for supporting us. And continue showing love not just to us but to everyone within the community. Make sure that you show love to the people surrounding you. Show them love. Unfortunately, I lost someone close to me earlier today.
Oh, wow.
Um, but you know what? Continuing moving forward, and that's why we gotta take advantage of the people that we have around us.
Absolutely, man. My
Yeah, man.
condolences, by the way. Rest in peace
Same,
to
definitely.
that person,
You and your
family member,
family are in
relative.
our prayers, Jose.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you, as always, brother, for being you. We appreciate you, and let's continue to grow and wish for better days ahead, man.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it
So,
better myself.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, guys, I think we're coming to the end of the show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for rocking with us. We've been off for a week, and appreciate you guys for coming back and tuning in.
Stop.
Definitely showing love.
Just stop.
Uh-oh. We got
Uh
to stop. Uh-oh.
oh.
You gotta
Uh-oh.
stop. I'm meeting these two guys right now. So they're gonna be talking. You just won't be able to hear them. All right, listen up, folks. To all our fans watching right now, whether you're watching us live at this moment or you're going to watch it afterwards, I have a question to ask you. Have you guys ever wondered where SKF originated from? Have you ever wondered how this show got started? This show has actually been on for 2 years now. This is season two, and in a couple more months, we're going to start getting ready for season three. But do you know the history of SKF? If you really want to know how this show got started, let us know in the comments below. Send us some fire emoji. And you know what, Ron, we're going to put a poll on YouTube later today or maybe tomorrow morning to see, because I think it's time to give the fans a history lesson on how this show came to be. And I'm
I
out.
like it.
Okay. All right.
This dude's like a magician. He's like Houdini. He just
That's it. Drop the mic. There.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, definitely, guys. If that's something that you guys are interested in knowing, definitely put them fire emojis in the chat. Let us know. Yeah, I'm what Jose said. That's right. He's the showrunner, man. So when he says
Yeah,
go.
man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. Oh, before I get to John, I just wanted to say salute to the chat once again. And Marvin, I see you jumped in. Good to see you, man. Marvin's perspective from the other side. What's going on, brother? Good to
Yes,
see you.
sir. Yeah, I know they're
So,
working through
John,
that. Chicago, right? He's a Chicago fan.
he is a Chicago. Oh man, Marvin, listen, brother. I
It's
understand.
tough.
I
It's
know how it
tough. It's
is.
tough.
It's rough. Listen, just real quick, you guys have a tough matchup. You play Milwaukee Bucks, who are the favorites to win it all, one of the favorite teams to win it all, and they've already beat you
Tough.
4 times in the regular season. That's a tough task, man. Tough task.
Very tough matchup. Yep.
Yes, it is. John, any final words, brother?
As I always say, I just want everybody to stay blessed, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Those are fine words, man. There's nothing you can really say about that. That's good stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you as always. Salute to the chat. Thank you. Hit that like button. Show us some love. We appreciate it. We're at 688 subscribers. We're getting close to that 700 mark. That's another milestone.
689.
So, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And look for us next on the Nothing But Knicks network. We'll be chopping it up with the NBA report this Thursday. Thank you guys. Keep watching playoff basketball. It's exciting, man. Right now, looks like Toronto's up 96-82. I think. If I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Is this live? Yep, 96-82 over Philadelphia. Fourth quarter with 1 minute and 37 seconds left. So it looks like Toronto's going to get this one. And guys, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know where I said it. I think I said it on the NBA report, but I could have said it anywhere. Toronto is my sleeper. They're my upset team. Yeah. And then now with what's
NBA
going on
report.
with Joel Embiid. Yeah, man.
NBA report.
Anything can happen here, folks.
They're a tough team. They're a scrappy team.
They're scrappy. They're rough.
Make some noise.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Thank you guys as always. We'll see you on the next one. And it's great to be back.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Latest.